Hi, I'm Grandad Tim and I'm going to show you a few of my favourite things. And one of my favourite things is right here. And you'll probably see one of these on your daddy. Can you see that? This is the cupboard where I keep all of my books and things. This here is something that Bethany made me when she was a child. And you can see I keep all of my books in here. And that's a little amplifier I use to play my electric guitar through. Yeah. So this is my favourite guitar, and this is what I love playing. And here, a couple of my favourite walking sticks. And this one belonged to my grandpa. And this one here was made by my friend Dave. And he's put in a little coin that was made when I was born. This is the cupboard where I keep all of my books and things. This here is something that Bethany made me when she was a child, and you can see I keep all of my books in here. And that's a little amplifier I use to play my electric guitar through. And down here, out of the way, are some of my records. And this is how we used to listen to music in the old days. And that's a record by Pink Floyd called Dark Side of the Moon. So that's what records looked like. And this was one of my favourite bands. They're called Led Zeppelin. And we used to play them on this, which is called a turntable. And they would connect through that device there. That's got valves in, that's called an amplifier. And here's another one of my favourite things. This is a Valentine card from my wife. So let's go upstairs. No, in fact we'll go outside first, and we're going to have a look at a few more of my favourite things outdoors in the garden. Oh, here's another one of my favourite things. There's Belinda. So here is my favourite part of the house, which is the garden. I love the garden. And down there you can see some targets that we've been shooting at. I was doing that with your dad. It's just the area where we sit with all of our friends. And in here is my office. This is where I used to work. Quite often to sit out there and have a cup of tea if it was nice sunny weather. It's a bit of a mess in here. It used to be a pigsty, and Grandma says it still is, because it's got me in it. So there's one of my favourite bikes. That's the bike I used to cycle to the pub on. And this bike here is the bike I do all of my riding with my friends. And it's got one of my favourite saddles on, the Brooks. It's a brilliant saddle. And I love messing about with old record players and hi-fi. So you can see there's some speakers in here and all sorts of things that I've been playing around with. And here's another one of my favourite things. This is what my eldest daughter, Tian, did. And this is what she did for her O-level project, which I love. Unfortunately, it's come down off the wall. I've got to put it back up again. And there's my electric guitar. I was never very good at playing those. Okay, let's go back into the house and see what else we can find in the house to look at. Favourite part of the house for me is the kitchen, because I love cooking. Oh look, there's Grandma. Give a wave to camera, Grandma. So let's go through. Ah, here's another favourite thing. That's Poppy. Say hello, Poppy. Come in. There we go. Well done. So let's go through here. This is the study, and you can see things I like in here because I'm very keen on computers and all that sort of thing. So in this room there's lots of computers. Let's just turn this one off because I don't need that one open at the moment. Oh, and there's a screensaver. That's a picture of Grandma when we were in Positano on her 40th birthday. So there's a few things to do with music. Lots of pictures of the kids, because I love those. And here's my other favourite guitar, and lots of other musical instruments. And this is when Grandma and I got married. Right, so let's go around here. You can see there's musical instruments everywhere. Photos of the children. Oh, I wonder who that is there, look. And this is the lounge. This is where we spend most of the evenings as a family, maybe watching a film, watching telly. And in the winter time we light a lovely fire in the hearth there. When I was 40, it's called a smoker's bow, and it's a very, very comfy chair. And outside you can see, maybe it's a little bit too bright, but you can see this is the view that we have in the mornings when we wake up. So we live in a beautiful place. It's winter time now, so there's no leaves on the trees. We're supposed to have left at 9:30, so I need to go now. So I'll say goodbye, and you be good for Mummy and Daddy. Hey, not bad for 67, eh? Here are a few more of my favourite things. This here is a pipe that I bought when I was in Turkey with Grandma when we first met each other. And this is a mouth organ which I've always wanted to be able to play and never could. Now, these are some toy cars. That's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is a fantastic film. And the story of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was written by a man called Ian Fleming, and he wrote lots of fantastic books called James Bond. And the films of James Bond, there's lots of them you can see. And you can see here, there's a little man in an ejector seat. And when you flick a button, this little man comes flying out of the ejector seat. And when I was a little boy, I loved antiques. And this is a spoon I bought. It's an old spoon. And it shows on here Romulus and Remus suckling from the wolf. And this is called a mosaic. And this watch here belonged to your great-granddad. This was great-grandma Cynthia's dad's. And this here is what's called a Zippo lighter, which a friend of mine gave me. And I've always treasured that. This is a lighter from a company called Dunhill. This is a very old one, and it's quite unique because if you want to light something with a longer flame, you see you can lift that up and it goes into whatever you want to light. And that there's the cap badge from when I was at school. I was in what was called the Combined Cadet Force, and I used to wear that on my hat, and it was from the school called Monkton Combe. When I was a little boy, I used to collect antiques. And this tiny little statue is of a Hindu god called Ganesh. He's actually an elephant god, and you can see he's got lots of arms. And the elephant god is a god that they believe can move obstacles. And I've always loved Ganesh. I've had him since I was about 7 years old, so he's one of my favourite things. And this is a spinning wheel which came from Switzerland. It was bought by my grandparents a long, long time ago. I think in the 1950s or the 1940s they used to run parties, like holiday parties to Switzerland, and they brought it back. And when I was a little boy I used to love stamping my foot up and down on the pedal at the bottom of it that makes it spin. You can see that part down there. And at the time when I could do that, there was a piece of string that would make the wheel spin round and round, and it was very exciting and I loved playing with it. So my grandma gave it to me when she became quite old. And this here is a painting that Mike and Maria gave to Grandma and I, and it's a picture of her and me having a cuddle, and it's one of the loveliest paintings I've ever seen. So this is another one of my bestest favourite things. And this is a clock that I bought when I was a child in Switzerland. It's a musical alarm clock, and it makes a lovely musical sound when it's time to get up. These funny looking things are actually some weighing scales. So I'll show you, I can get on them and it takes my weight. And these were sent through to my parents when I was a baby to check my weight. And this thing next to them is an old smoking cabinet. People don't smoke these days, but if you open this up you can see inside there's places where you can store things in that little jar, and some little dishes. That's a little fruit knife there, and here's some other drawers that you can open up where I keep things in, and a few more of my favourite things, a few little models that Beth's made for me. And here is a game, and this was made by Auntie Bethany, and you can see there's a Volkswagen camper van on the front, which is one of my favourite things. And here, this is a game that she made as part of a project for school. It was a very good one. And here is another one of my favourite things, and this here is a little stool, and this was made by Oliver, your daddy, and we made it together, and we had a fantastic time making it, and he'd made a really good job of it. Let's have a look. Look at the detail of that. Isn't that lovely?